This is a beautiful and rustic Italian zucchini tart. I mean, it's got zucchini and spinach inside. It's got cheese on the top. Honestly, I can't wait to dive into it. And I'm going to show you how to make it right now. Hey, welcome to another episode of Secret Kitchens of New Jersey. So today we're doing something a little bit different. It could be an appetizer, it could be a lunch, it could be a snack. We are making an Italian zucchini tart, also known as Scarpaccia. I want to make sure I say it correctly. And you can see I've got three, nice tender zucchinis. I'm leaving the skin on. And the very first thing that I'm doing is I'm slicing them nice and thin. And then I'm going to get them in my pan to saute with some olive oil. So first thing is let me get these sliced. All right, I think I've got enough. So I was cutting up the zucchinis. I don't think I'm going to use all of it. I just want to show you that I've cut these zucchinis into very thin coins, probably barely 1/4 inch, because what we're going to do now is we're going to saute them in hot oil with, I also have a half an onion here. It's very basic ingredients for this Italian zucchini tart, but they're going to be delicious. So let's get some olive oil in the pan. Let's find okay. A couple, maybe 2 tablespoons, that's it. All right. And let me get these zucchinis in here. Okay, that's the sound we like to hear. Get that out of our way. So I want these zucchinis to get some color on them, because that's going to give them some nice flavor. And I'm also going to add, I have a half an onion here, just a half of a fairly large onion, which I also cut up very thin, very fine. All right, very thin. So let's get the onions in here as well. And I'm also going to add, you know what's coming, some salt and pepper. The salt will draw out some of the moisture. Zucchini also has a lot of moisture. And then everything will evaporate. Let's get some pepper in here. This is one of those recipes that I love because there's a lot of opportunity for you to, give it your own spin. And we like that in the Secret Kitchen. So let's see how we're doing here. All right, so these are going to take a few minutes to get some color on them. And again, I am looking to get some color on them. We'll let them be for a little bit. And what we also have, we're going to be making a batter with, I've got a cup of flour, about 1/3 cup, the recipe is obviously below, some corn flour, which I don't always use a lot unless I'm making cornbread, and a bit of baking powder and some water. And from that, we're going to make up a nice little batter. But meanwhile, I'm just keeping my eyes on this. Okay, we don't want anything to happen. So you know what I'll do? I'm going to put my flour in here now, the cornmeal in here now, and I've got a whisk. I'm going to whisk this together. This is going to form a kind of a batter on this zucchini tart, and we're going to cook it, we're going to bake it in the oven in a sheet pan. It's almost like a crust. No, it's nothing like a quiche. It's delicious. You'll be surprised if you've never made anything quite like this before. So I'll tell you what, these are going to need about 5 minutes or so, 5 to 7 minutes to get some color on them. So let me just let this continue to saute, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's ready for the next step. Okay, so this definitely took several minutes to get to this stage. This zucchini had a lot of water in it. I really needed it to cook down. You know, it's going to depend on your zucchini. It's going to depend on how much liquid is in the zucchini. All right, so So the thing that I want to do now, I'm changing my own recipe, and I encourage you to do the same. So I happen to have some fresh baby spinach left over in my refrigerator, and I'm thinking to myself, you know what? Let's put it right in here. So I am going to, and you know what happens with spinach, it wilts down very quickly, but I think it's going to make a delicious addition to this tart. So instead of calling it a zucchini tart, now I'm going to call it a zucchini and spinach tart. What could be bad? So let's just give this a couple of minutes, not even a couple of minutes, just probably a minute for the spinach to kind of wilt down, and then we'll go on to the next step. All right, so my zucchini is just about wilted. I'm gonna let it go a little bit more. What I did off camera, by the way, I had about, I'm gonna say about 4 cloves of garlic, which I minced very fine, and I put them right in here with the zucchini mixture. And you know what, because I did add the spinach, I'm going to add a little bit more salt. You know, we like to season every layer. A little bit more pepper. Okay, the garlic and the onion, the zucchini, the spinach, it's all smelling really quite good. And you can see the zucchini, I'm sorry, the spinach is really wilting down. I'm going to lower this a little bit. And while that finishes, all right, so here was my flour and my cornmeal. I added a little bit of salt and pepper. I also added a little bit of baking powder. I've got a cup of water. We're making a kind of a little bit of a batter here. Let me get a... We're going to just mix this up, create a little batter. The cornmeal is going to give us some wonderful texture. And what we're going to do is we're going to put that entire vegetable mixture in this batter, and then we're going to lay the whole thing out in the sheet pan. And this is going to go into a hot oven. And you know what? I'm going to add a little bit of crushed red pepper because, you know, why not? What could be bad? Okay, this is nice. All right, so I'm going to call this done. And you can see that the spinach is wilted. This is really nice. This is a beautiful mixture at this point. And again, you can change it up. You can add whatever you want to this. All right, so let's get this in here. Being careful not to get it all over the secret kitchen. Come on. Get every last morsel out into here. All right, well, the onions and the garlic, smells wonderful. All right, so let's give this a good mix. All right, so now the next thing we're going to do, I have a sheet pan. Just move that over here, clear the decks a little bit. I have a sheet pan. Got my piece of parchment paper. I'm going to put a little olive oil on the parchment paper and take my brush. Brush this out. My oven is preheated to 400. This is going to take, you know, depending on your oven, depending on how thick it is. Your batter might be slightly different than mine. It's going to take, I don't know, it's going to take maybe 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes. We're going to have to check it and we'll see. But first, let's get it out here. Oh boy, it really smells good. You can smell the cornmeal. It's a little messy here. Let me switch to a spatula because I want to make sure I get all of the batter. Oh, get this all out. Italian zucchini tart, but we're adding a little spinach. Get this nicely spread out on the pan. And you know what I'm also going to do? I have some grated parm. I'm going to put that in there as well. Looks very good. Okay, so now let's take our grated parm. I have about 2 tablespoons. Again, use more or less. All right, and this is going to go in the oven. Wow, awesome. All right, I have some fresh basil that I'm going to use for garnish when it comes out of the oven. So let me get this in the oven again, 400 degrees. We're going to check it at 30 minutes and we'll see how we're doing, okay? All right, here it is. It was in the oven, my Italian zucchini, very rustic tart, which has spinach in it now, so now it's a zucchini spinach tart. I don't know, can I still call it Scarpaccia? I'm not sure, but it doesn't matter what you call it. It looks great. So it was in the oven for, I'm going to say it was about 40 minutes, and of course the bake time is going to depend on how large it is, how hot your oven is, but it's got a nice crust. Can you hear that? Yeah, nice, right? So let's see how this looks. I did put some, I did add a little extra Parmesan cheese on the top, and I cut up some fresh basil, because you know when you take fresh basil and you put it on something hot, it just releases all those wonderful oils. So this is the kind of thing that would make a great appetizer, a great lunch, a great snack, and let's see. It just smells amazing. So it's hard to really see what's in it because this is a very thin tart, but it's just packed with onions and zucchini and spinach and some garlic and some crushed red pepper, everything delish. So let's see. I'm just going to eat it with my fingers. This is great. The cornmeal. The cornmeal gives the batter an extra crunch that you wouldn't have if you just used flour. The zucchini is super tender. Oh my God, this is way better than it's delicious. Yes. It's good. It's hot. Gotta let it cool down a little bit before you eat it. This is definitely a delicious meal. Meal, snack, appetizer, whatever you want to call it, you gotta do it. It's easy enough to do. So that's it for today. Remember, we'll see you next time on Secret Kitchens of New Jersey. Bye everyone.